Well, good evening. Welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about Americans as equity and how after the American Civil War, ownership of the black slaves was transferred to the U.S. federal government. The slaves were never freed. And how, since then, anyone born in the United States actually became the property of the U.S. federal government. Now, a good way of testing this, and please never believe anything I say, a good way of testing this is to go and apply for a marriage license. You are actually petitioning your master for the right to marry. And further, you're pledging that any children that you will have will also be the property of your master. This gets into actually the issue of gay marriage, and we'll cover that in another episode. It's quite interesting where the laws keep coming in. Well, anyway, this also led to how Teddy Roosevelt, our 26th president, I think he became president in 1901, pledged as collateral for the debt of the United States every man, woman, and child. Why not? We're already owned by the federal government. It makes sense. And also, why, and very soon, the holders of our nation's debt, the Chinese government, will demand that the borders surrounding the USA be reinforced, not to keep people out, but to keep the Americans in. I myself am already out. I've actually posted a bond with the IRS so they don't bother me anymore. And in that bond, I declared my own personal sovereignty. In other words, I belong to myself and to no one else. It was quite an interesting legal exercise, and unfortunately the attorney in the law group that arranged all this, because I had no idea what was going on, they've since been destroyed by the IRS. Our masters hate it when you stand up to them. And this really good woman, I don't know where she is now, but I know her whole practice is gone. I'd love to get a hold of her just to say hi. So I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. Well, for myself, of course, I have no intention of ever returning to the States. And as soon as I can, I'll be renouncing my U.S. citizenship just to be on the safe side. But until then, they can't tax me because I'm not their property. They can't do it. I've declared my sovereignty. I'm no longer the property of the U.S. government. I'm no longer the property of the owners of the United States, British corporations. I'm no longer the property of the Crown of England, who control the British corporations who own the United States. I'm no longer the property of the Chinese government, which holds all the debt of the British corporations who own the United States. I'm pretty much on my own. You, on the other hand, you're still collateral. You're still a thing. And we talked about that earlier. You get a copy of your birth certificate. Get a brand new copy of your birth certificate. There'll be a little circle with numbers in it. Call your local stockbroker and ask them to trace the activity on those numbers. Don't tell them where you got it. Just ask them to trace the activity. You will discover that you, as an asset of the federal government of the United States, have been bought and sold numerous times. You're a stock. You're a commodity. It's interesting, as a side note, mostly because I don't want to talk about tonight's topic, so forgive me. As a side note, for fun, go to google.com, which is a really good search engine, even though our masters are watching every move we make. It's actually a really good search engine. Go to google.com. Do a keyword search of the 2012 fad, one word. You'll discover something interesting. I discovered it the other day by accident. We are in and fill the first 87 pages of the Google search engine for the 2012 fad. Also discovered that we are actually being hosted on hundreds and hundreds of servers in Russia and in Asia. We're very big in Russia and Asia. And right now we're trying to get a radio network deal in Russia and Asia to get us on mainstream as much as we can to do a 2-hour show a day, 5 days a week. Obviously, the profits for all of that go to building the village. And of course, there's always my website, coffeeandblood.com, where I wrote 5 erotica horror novels based on my experiences with the CIA and their war against man. And that's actually going fairly well, too. It looks like there's a movie deal in there somewhere, and I'll believe it when I see it, but the script's being written, so that's kind of cool. So I mention all of this simply because I don't want to talk about tonight's topic. But I have to, because against all of my wishes and way against my better judgment, our producer, Mr. Kenneth Slenker, is insisting that we chat about Japan and the earthquake that attacked their country. It's against my better judgment because this late in the day for our civilization, talking about this attack against the sovereign nation of Japan will solve absolutely nothing. And if I sound cold and disinterested, at this point I have to be, because I have cried myself to sleep for decades, knowing in advance this was all going to happen, and being absolutely powerless to do anything about it, including convincing you to stand up for yourselves, to make a difference, not for me, but for you. And nobody listened. So today, I'm all cried out. I was crying 10 years before it happened for the people of New York City, before the false flag event of September 11 happened. And so I was all cried out by the time the staged event actually occurred. And I sat there watching the horrors play out on my television set downstairs and just ate my breakfast. I'd already lived through it. I'd already experienced it all. I'd already gotten over the shock, the horror. I'd lived through it, and all alone, as usual. And I already lived through, all these things. And I had begged, I pleaded, I reasoned, I talked, I discussed. I spent, excuse me, I spent every penny I had to try to get someone to listen, just try to get someone to care. No one ever cared. Pardon me. And now with the attack on Japan, which I'm not surprised by in the slightest, I don't have any tears left. It's frankly too late for tears for me, because now all we have time for is action. Because the truth is the Japanese will very soon have lots of company. What we're chatting about tonight is the fact that we, the people of the United States of America, are now in a state of war. We have attacked with deliberate malice aforethought the nation of Japan. We are at war. We have yet another undeclared, illegal, and wholly evil war with yet another unsuspecting sovereign nation. Why? How? Well, actually the how is pretty easy. The why will take a bit of history. The Japanese government has been actively working to make their economy, which I believe is the fourth largest in the world, or at least it was, completely free of dependence on foreign oil, Western oil to be exact. Now, oil in itself is very interesting. Oil, petroleum, is a natural byproduct of the functions of the earth. The earth makes oil. Oil is not dinosaur bits. Oil is a natural byproduct, a natural function of the earth. Our bodies, yours and mine, we manufacture blood and various lubricants in order for us to work properly. Oil is, for lack of a better term, the blood of the earth. And the earth makes it continuously. The earth manufactures oil all the time. For example, the oil wells in the United States that were capped in the 1970s, when they ran dry and caused the first oil disaster, they have since all refilled. But you will not know that because they've all been capped. They've all been sealed. Oil is so abundant all over the world that when I was in Estes Park, Colorado for a NASA workshop a few years ago, I think it was the Galactic Dust workshop, we were teaching people how to use the Certif infrared observatory, how to use from your PC, map plots of the sky. I forget exactly the technical term. But while we were there, the local folks in Estes Park, Colorado, were telling us about how black helicopters were flying in portable oil wells, set them up in the forest. Now, Estes Park, Colorado is 9,000 feet up in the mountains. You can see the tree line from town. Apparently, these black helicopters flew in the oil wells, set them up, drilled down in the mountains, found oil at 9,000 feet, tore the portable oil wells down, and then flew out again. Oil at 9,000 feet in the mountains. And then, of course, there's always the North Shore of Alaska, where there is an area 200 miles square that today has enough oil to run the United